So, just like we were talking about the reason that I want to do this with our agents is obviously, I mean, you and I have been in business together, what,
Think it's almost 10. I was
nine,
trying to
nine
figure that
years,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I was trying to figure it out the other day.
So there's very little that you and I don't know about each other. Like not that we don't have our stuff, but we are more than business partners. We're friends. We know each other's families. You've watched my kids grow up. I met you when your daughter was still doing dance competitions in high school. Like
Yep.
she's now, a wonderfully successful woman. Your daughter has babysat my kids. Like we know each other in a
Correct.
really, really meaningful way. And it occurred to me as I was one day I was on a podcast and somebody on the team that's newer to the team, not new, like brand new, but like I don't know them as long as I know you. And they said, I listened to your podcast and I didn't know that about you. I don't remember what the thing was, but it occurred to me when they said that wow, I have this like amazing opportunity to get to know all the people that I'm in business with because we have so much interaction and we have history, but not everybody on our team gets that opportunity. And you are one of the most successful agents historically on the team, but not just on the team, in our Keller Williams Market Center, in our New England region, in our market. You have almost 20 years of experience selling real estate, right? Tw
Or
20 how? 20
oh,
how?
20. This is going into 26 years.
So you started in 1999.
97. Yeah, right around there because Jordan was like 2.5. So maybe 1999 and a half. Yeah, something
So
like
like
that.
one of the best things, one of my favorite things, Corey, is that
Yeah,
you still love this business. Like
I
there
do.
there is a genuine joy and enthusiasm that you bring to the basics of the business that I actually have the same thing. I was talking to one of our other business partners yesterday, and I was talking about how excited I get talking about just literally the grassroots things that you can do to create this awesome business. And I think that nobody like you live that every day. You live it. You live it every day. And I know it because you send me a text and you go, got another listing appointment, just signed a
I
buyer,
just did.
just got another
Yeah.
house under contract. Like you enjoy the game. You love the game. And I think that's something that I wish more people did. I wish more people appreciated and enjoyed what an amazing business this is, how incredibly rewarding it is. So I want to go back to sort of like the early days. I want to go back to Kori of 26 years ago, 25 years ago,
Okay.
professional career, getting rolling. You've shared a lot of these stories with me and I know them and I find tremendous wisdom in them that I think other people could get. So talk to me. Let's go back to early career. Like, what are you doing? How
25,
did you get started?
25 years ago, wasn't like that wasn't my longest job, but 25 years ago, I was a paralegal. So, until I started real estate back 8 years, 9 years, I worked in downtown Hartford. I was a paralegal for a medical malpractice and personal injury law firm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that was and if you go back like 6 or 7 years prior to that, I was working for an office supply company. I started out just a retail, then I did customer service there as I went through college. I did my first 2 years of school at night, excuse me, daytime, and then final two at nighttime.
Got it.
So the final two, because I dabbled in the first two. Um
Sure.
the second two had to be done at night and nobody was paying for it anymore. And I had to grow up and put my big pants on.
It
So
happens. Yeah. Yeah.
that's when it moved over to from just straight business administration to paralegal studies as well.
Okay.
So it was that was I went through a stage where, when I was younger, when I thought I was going to be more studious than I was, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. I wanted to be a lawyer. I liked that. I had a couple friends that were on that track, and I thought I had like the prosecution side of like criminal stuff like that. But
Sure.
It was more of those, may have been watching TV, I don't know why, but,
Well, I know you and you like to argue, so that's another thing too. So that's a
that
good,
that could have been part of
yeah,
it too.
yeah.
But so, yeah, I did the paralegal studies, and that's when I was a paralegal for 8 years.
So you get into that, and you're there in that career for 8 years, and you've shared some wisdom with me about some early mentors that you had, that had, that had an impact on you, like people that talked about sort of how you get ahead and what that looks like. Share some of that with me. Like, talk to me a little bit
Going
about
back
how that
up.
experience has been.
Yeah, it wasn't at the law firm, it was actually when I was young, it was at the office supply company. I, I was young. I was right out of high school, when I first started there, and worked there through college, and, didn't have the I don't wanna say my professionalism at home, wasn't that, my parents worked in a shop, and my dad worked in a machine shop.
Okay.
Not white collar, it was more blue collar house, whatever, didn't have, he went to school in jeans and school, excuse me, work in jeans, t-shirt, whatever. And most of my community was like that. It was just a different time. And so I would go to work like that. Or, I didn't think about dressing up or whatever the case may be. I wasn't a slob by any stretch of the imagination. I was always cognizant or tried to do the right thing
Right.
or be the right person.
I think
It
you
was
still
just,
do. I mean, that's a
I do,
core part of your
I do.
personality is that
Yeah,
you believe that the rules matter and that, doing it the right way is important. And you're right. You're absolutely
it
right.
is.
Yeah.
So there was a gentleman that owned I'll just call him Bill. He owned the office supply company that I worked for. And he was not far off my father's age. And he had children my age, a few younger, a few older. So it was somewhere around that age. And I don't know if he saw that, I did work hard. There was a lot of us my age at the time that worked there. It was a lower paying job, so that's, entry level job. So there was a lot of us around the same age. And he took a liking to me. I think he saw, I was conscientious or whatever. He really had a big impact on me because I actually listened to him sometimes. He would always be the one, like, if you can think back, like, if you work in an office, like, it's an office of cubicles, and everybody's, this is when you're a 1090, not a 1099, you're a W-2 employee, you're on the clock, dude, you're working
Yeah,
for him, and
absolutely.
we'd all be standing around, and, just talking, he'd be like, and say shit, and we'd all get mad, or whatever the case may be, and it's like, he really taught me the way to act appropriately in the office and be like, "Yeah, you don't own this company. You work for me," that kind of thing. He
Yeah.
taught me some work ethics. He also, he was very kind after, somewhere during that, ti time frame of being there, their top people, if you will, in the company were the outside salespeople. And of course, every job I had always been at, right down to paperboy, um, I always wanted to be one of the top people. Like
Sure.
if I was on a sports team, I had to be the captain.
Yeah, you were aspirational,
Yeah.
ambitious, right?
If I'm on a club, I got to be the president. I still do that, unfortunately, but I can't say no. And I want to be an outside salespeople person. So he gave me the chance. Don't think that was the brightest idea. I didn't have the confidence to do that. I didn't know how to dress. They all dressed up. Um, and all that. So he took me aside one time and he knew that my mom had passed away and I was really living on my own, with a roommate. I was young and I'll never forget, he gave me a couple $100 and said, "Go shopping. Go buy her some more clothes that are gonna make you feel confident so when you walk into those other offices that you feel good." And it's true, it's true to this day. If you have on a nice suit, you know, you feel good,
Yeah.
you know, and that was one of the nicest things somebody's ever done for me because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
I used to think he was ticked off at me half the time because I was always babbling to everybody and, always trying to like get out early if it was snowing or, some kind of, thing to do that. But I think he saw my drive also,
Hmm.
because he had children my way. And, he
I
really
mean,
taught me.
he made a notable investment in you, but I think
He
there's
did.
something more to that, that
Yep.
it wasn't the $100. You started it by saying he was very kind. He took an
Yes.
interest in you. he invested in you, not just with the dollars to go get some clothes, but also he saw the potential. He saw what you wanted to be, and he made an emotional investment in you and taught you that good leaders step up for their people.
And he did. And so
Mhm.
I did.
Yeah,
I did that um for him, for the company, for
yeah,
myself. That's who I was. Plus I was on my own and I had to. I didn't have a
right,
choice.
right.
I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. You got,
How many years were you working there?
oh, I think it was 10 years.
Okay.
I think if I actually went back in the timeline, I forget. I think it was somewhere around there because it was part-time at first. Again, it was one of those things right after high school and then during college because I was home for the first 2 years. So it was
Yeah.
it all gets blurry after a while. So
Yeah.
what's ironic right now is one of my new buyers, I knew the name and him and his fiance, I met them, it was 2 weeks ago. I'm like, Jay, why do I know you? And he goes, Kori. He goes, we worked at Harrison's together. I'm like, oh my God, Jay. So
Wow.
yeah, he was a driver. He was one of the delivery guys
Yeah.
when I worked there. And so I still see some of these guys around. And it was a cool place. And he did teach me a lot about also as the 10 years went on, how to act appropriately if I wanted to get ahead. I
Hmm.
remember I'm not gonna say any names because I never know who's going to listen to it. She'll probably know who it was if she ever listened to it. There was another girl there that was like my nemesis. She went to a big private school in the
Okay.
state, college. I was not able to do that.
So
Um,
maybe not nemesis, but you guys were competitive.
yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And she went to a private college in the state. I did not. Um, we were doing the same job, and I would sometimes whine that I didn't want to do something.
Hmm.
And I really didn't mean to. I don't know if it was me trying to fit in by whining because I always did it. I always wanted more, as you know how I am.
Of
The
course.
more you gave me, the better I was, but I'm going to complain about it. Well,
Yeah.
she did not
Hmm.
complain about it. And she would get it done, just like me. I later found out that's why she got ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's so valuable, Corey, because I remember having this conversation with you in the past that like one of the things that's the easiest thing to do is complain. The easiest. It's the
Yep.
lowest form of energy when it comes to human communication. So when you find yourself in a dialogue with people who are complaining, it's real easy to just sort of pile on. Yeah, you're right. That sucks. Yeah, this isn't good. Like there's a very easy access for anybody to decide to go negative. It's a lot harder to be positive in the face of. And one thing that you'll notice around really successful people, they are always positive in the face of
Mhm.
negativity. Always.
Even if it's for a brief moment that you have, everyone's going to have this fleeting moment sometimes. You're like,
Yeah. Oh no, shitty things happen. There's no
yeah,
question. Shitty things happen. In business especially. Bad things happen. Things that are not
yeah,
supposed to, or we
very
would
true.
prefer for them not to happen, happen. It's how we respond to them that dictates whether or not we're going to be one of the leaders or not. Because you know what? People don't want to follow somebody that says, we're going to lose. This sucks. I wish I could do something else. No one follows that person. Here's the person they follow. They follow the person that says, the odds are stacked against us. It's never been more difficult, and we're going to win
Okay.
any. Yeah. And that is,
It
there's such
actually
a
makes winning feel better.
totally. Well, nobody follows the complainer, right? So it's really, but again, remember, it's like a magnetic pull to be brought into the negativity, right? Which is why who we surround ourselves with matters tremendously. And we'll see this, you'll see this on a real estate team or in any business that culture becomes contagious, and that when people complain as part of their sort of narrative, especially people that are in roles of influence, it starts to have a notable impact on the business. And no one leader can ever turn that ship around other than by removing the people and just getting them out of the locker room. See, I'd rather work with a team that's trying hard and feels like winners that doesn't win than work with a bunch of complainers who win despite themselves. And long term, the complainers aren't going to win. They're not going to.
No,
Eventually, somebody that's waking up every day ready to rip the cover off the ball and just put their heart and soul into something is eventually going to beat you because they're not going to be beaten down by the challenges, which are inevitable. So
it's
tell
so
me
funny you
more
said
about
that
that.
because it didn't take me long to learn that lesson. And
Yeah,
it's one of those things that, like if you're in high school, the cool kids are usually the ones that are being fresh to the teachers or whatever, sometimes or whatever, depending on what era you're going in or what era you grew up in, sometimes. Um, and it hit me that when I was told that, I'm like, well, okay, all right, turn that around.
yeah,
And I continuously turned it around, even through the law, through all of that and through school and ending up my last 2 years with like 4.0s when I graduated, my last 2 years of school. I had 4.0, 4.0, 4.0, all of them.
yeah.
So it was just like, he really got to me. I think it was very parental figure
That's awesome.
that I needed
So,
at the
so
time.
why did you leave? You had this great mentor and leader. Why
Because
did
I
you go?
wanted to do something in law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Okay.
wasn't going to be an office supply salesperson all my life. I just didn't want to do that.
Got it.
I wanted to do something in the law field, and I really enjoyed that.
So then you moved into being a paralegal and you were at that company for how long?
Eight,
8 years?
8 years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what did you like about
Um, I don't know.
it?
I don't. Well, no, I shouldn't say. Again, I think it sounds so cliche, but it comes with the helping of people. Especially when I was working in the field, the personal injury field, there were some legitimately hurt people that
Yeah.
I was really help. They needed help, and it wasn't like I was going over there to help babysit them. I was helping getting all their documentation and the paperwork and stuff for the attorneys. And that's just in me to help people.
Yeah.
And so we shouldn't say I don't know. That it just it seems like a cliche answer, but that I did like that. Honestly, you know what? I didn't like the paperwork part of it. I liked the boots on the ground part of it when I was going to get paperwork and help them.
Yeah.
I ended up, moving up in there where I became one of the intake managers that I would meet with people before they came in, before they would meet with the attorneys first, see if they had a case or potentially a case. And I really, it was just a meeting of getting to know people and really being on a sympathetic level with them
Yeah.
or a celebratory level with them, if it, whatever it mattered. I just liked being there for them.
Yeah. Um, so you were getting some personal fulfillment out of it. What do you think some of the biggest like professional lessons were? Because you jumped out of that and got into real estate, and now you've got this career that is, again, enviable amongst most real estate agents around the country. What'd you pull out of it? Like, what do you think your biggest lessons were working in a big corporate environment like that? How many attorneys were there? Do you know?
36,
36. That's a
30,
monster
30,
organization.
between 30 and 36.
Yeah. So you guys,
Discipline,
I mean, again, big money, big law firm.
cranking.
Yeah,
We
cranking
cranked
deals, right? You're a
two
paralegal, a lot of
locations. Yeah.
pressure. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of pressure, a lot of detail, like a lot of things you've got to like that is not typically the precursor to a highly successful real estate agent. Personality profile wise, like this is a whole different animal of a business. So you're doing that. How do you get this real estate bug? How does that start?
So discipline, I did definitely learn to discipline. Maybe not so much from all of us, but from the attorneys. They had, they were very disciplined. It was serious. It was sometimes probably more serious than my personality, even though I'm a serious worker. I'm
Oh,
definitely a little bit more free spirited.
get it? Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how did I get into real estate was the funniest thing in the world. It was just at the time was I had gotten married while I worked there. And then I had Jay. I had Jordan. And it was time to buy a house. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, now what do I do? I don't know any realtors, whatever. And at the time, living in Bristol, I was living in Bristol. There was we had the Bristol Press and we had the Step Saver. It was two magazines. You know how we used to advertise in magazines for houses. And I always used to see this guy's face that was always around. And I just called on one of his houses. And we weren't even pre-approved. We didn't know anything. We didn't know anything. Just like some of our clients don't know anything when they call what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
and he helped us through it. I remember meeting Marlene, um, from Countrywide. She's still around. And
Like she was a mortgage lender.
she's still out there. She actually, funny story, when we get to the end of it, she ended up, so I was with my ex-husband when we bought the house. She introduced me to Jeff, my now her
Oh,
husband,
wild.
at the gym. So
Mortgage
it was just,
lender. That's cool.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I mean, so this is, we're talking 20, yeah, 25 years ago. So Maurice hooked me up with
Okay.
his wife was also a realtor, but she worked out in the valley, out in Farmington, whatever. He, Bristol guy, he hung there. So we bought our house from him, and he could tell I liked real estate. I was probably bugging him a little bit too much, asking a lot of questions. And he also knew we didn't make a lot of money at the time. I was, not making a ton at the law firm.
Yeah.
He's like, "You want to make some extra money?" He goes, "I'm always looking, just like we are now, assistants at night, you want to do some input." It was the archaic version of CRMs back then. It was,
Right.
oh my God, we still have it. It's called Top Producer.
Right.
So, that,
Remember. Yeah.
yes, Top Producer. He had Top Producer. And he just wanted someone to do his automatic letters and things like that after hours. So that's what I did. I just started working part-time for him a couple hours after work. And I just started talking things. He's like, "Jesus, Kori," he goes, "You know more about real estate than people that are in real estate, and you're not in real estate." He's like, "Take the class." I'm like, "I'm gonna take the class." And I took it on Saturdays with this. Now I don't remember his name, but everybody thought he was famous back then. It was weird. His name was Daryl, something like that. And I passed it right away. And I started working with Maurice as a team, just the two of us. But we worked for Remax. And it just took off. I just went. I didn't stop. He's just like, just went.
Yeah.
Um, it exploded.
Yeah.
Um, I love to help people.
Why
And
do you think that so many agents get into the business and struggle early on with that thing that figured that you love to help people, so you sort of had this, like, you had a very corporate structured background coming into the
yes,
business, and then you get into this business, and there's no question, there's no single person that's going to say, oh yeah, real estate's incredibly corporate and structured, because it's not. It's a chaotic, crazy, highly charged, emotionally charged business. Why do you think that what do you think made it work for you? Like, very quickly being able to identify opportunities, figure out how to help people, find the right people. What do you think made that work for you?
went to work.
Okay.
I
Love
think I think I went to work.
you
I
had
think
that
part of
basic
it,
fun, yeah, that basic fundamental part of you that had been drilled into you for 18 years prior, first in office supplies, and then you're like, yeah, well, if you want to make money, you got to get up every day, get dressed, and go to work.
well, yeah, I mean, and I was doing it at 10. I had paper routes.
Yeah.
So, I came from a family of hard workers, so I had a work ethic in me. Anyway, to begin with, from my other jobs and then going into real estate, you know, I didn't lose my work ethic. Like, and not to mention my husband's like, if you don't get paid, because
Hmm.
if you're going to quit, you better make some money or we're screwed, you
Yeah.
know? So that was a little bit of a motivating factor. I had a child that I was paying daycare for and not bringing home a paycheck too.
Yeah.
Um, and it was definitely, I guess all I can say is I actually went to work. I mean, every day. And part of it, probably the dressing part, they used to always tease me because I was still in the corporate world. So from working at the law firm, I only had suits. I would
Yeah.
go in the office every day dressed up like I was going to the law firm.
Well, that's going to
And
work. Yeah,
that's
I
going to work.
make that joke all the time. Like, back
Yeah.
in, if you met Matt Miale back in 1997, it was suit and tie every day, shiny shoes, a belt, clean shaven, right?
Yep.
Clean shaven, pressed shirt, showered, ready to go to work every single day, exactly the same way. And I had to be in the office by 8:15 so that I could have
100%.
coffee before our 8:30 sales meeting every day.
So,
Wild
and
how
that's what,
that standard has dropped, huh?
yes, but it hasn't with me. So I did that. I don't even know if it was until maybe only 10 years ago of, no, maybe 5 years ago of this, because I know when I met you, I was still doing that when we were at different offices. Um, I just always did it. I was in the office by 8:30 and I didn't stop. I didn't leave the office unless I had a class or whatever. But if I did, I would go back. Like I
Yeah.
didn't leave to go home until 5 o'clock ish.
Yeah, right.
Like
If you
I
left, you would
looked
have
at it
gone.
as a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And I also dressed up. I lowered it a little bit, but I dressed up just in case I had to meet a client. Like I'd be ready.
Yep.
Like if somebody called or we had floor time back then. Once in a while that would happen. Um, I would I stayed dressed for it. Like I put myself out there as a professional
Yeah.
and just told everybody that's what I do.
Yeah.
And he would give me some leads because he was established and stuff. And it was funny, we would joke now. He probably would still joke about it. I took all his clients away from him because he was always crabby. He's a crabby guy. Um, and I just like they would like me better than him. And then next thing you know, I'm getting referrals from whatever. One client that I have now, Danielle, has bought 3 houses with me. Well, it used to be his client years ago. Um, and but I just, you know what, there was no secret. I went to work and I asked a lot of questions. I asked shit ton of questions. I would have driven you crazy. I still ask questions, a lot of questions. I would know every program there is. I would take every class there was. I think you said something, I think somebody, Jen said that this morning on our call from the coach. She took a lot of classes. Oh God, I got my ABR right away. Then there was GRI. I have my broker's license, so I had to take all the appraisals. By year 7 or 8, I had my broker's license. Like I just didn't stop. I didn't treat real estate as a television program like they see now. I think that hurts us, selling
Oh,
sunset.
no, you went into the business with the intention of becoming a master at
A
the
professional.
craft. Yeah, a
Yeah.
master at the craft. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that the class is the mastery, but the class is nothing. The class, all that does is get you a license. And then the vast disparity between those people that are wildly successful and those that aren't, I think you articulated it excellent. It's they go to work, they treat it like a full-time job, and then they work on getting better all the time. And
Constantly.
still, I mean, I'm going to spend a week in seminars and classes and masterminds next week because I still have a lot to learn, so much
I
to
was
learn.
just
And
going to say that we
yeah,
still do it. Look at, we were just talking yesterday about our January travel. I'm already thinking what next year's travel is going to be for training.
that's right.
Um, After 26, it doesn't stop. You have to learn. And there isn't any trick. It's go to, yeah. Everybody else asks me that. I go to work. I go to work. You may not see me now, and I probably COVID ruined that. And Jen said that too. It was so funny this morning. Prior to COVID, I would be in the office every morning. Then I got everything set up here, so everything came home, and I haven't entirely gone back into the office all the time. But I still get up every day, take a shower, get dressed, and I go to work. Where you're
Same.
looking at me now, I probably will be till somewhere around 6, somewhere between 5 and 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
do the same. Again, I wonder. I always, you've heard me say this before. Like, what do you do all day? Like to agents that are not selling 20, 30 houses a year. Like, what do you do
I don't
all
know what they're
day?
doing. I don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing.
What are you doing? Because the reality is that if you're actually doing the job, which is not a complicated job, which Kori, you exemplify this, right? You wake up every day and you're either working on setting an appointment with somebody who needs your services, or you're getting better at what to say when you're on the appointment, how to deliver your value proposition so that they understand exactly what it is that you're going to do for them, or you're helping them get what they want, which is either get their house sold or go find a property that they want to buy. It's really those three things. And when you realize like those are like the skills of a baseball player, like can you hit, throw, and catch a ball, right? Well, can you get an appointment? Do you know what to say on the appointment? And can you get somebody to get what they want? Like those are your three skills. That's hit, run, catch, hit, throw, and catch. Like that's it. Those are the skills. Yeah, does other stuff happen? Of course. Is there industry knowledge? Yeah, of course. But like that's it. That's all you really need to know.
And
Um,
when I don't have that going on, throughout the 20 years or whatever, 25, um, I would find someone to talk to about it.
yeah.
Like, when Jordan was, because she grew up in real estate, poor thing. I mean, she'd have a sick day from school. She was still in the back of the car. Like, get your blanket if you're staying home. You got to go on showings with me, like, so it was still, even, there weren't any sick days. You still had to work,
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a matter of, it's a job. Just because some people made a reality show out of it, or some people think it's glamorous, or I think some people get into the business for the wrong reasons, but at the end of the day, it's a job. And I just find something. Before we got on the phone, I was waiting for, I didn't want to start anything because we had time. I went onto Facebook, and I saw somebody, of course it's election time now, so somebody was complaining about taxes or something like that. I don't know what I started to say to them about, you know, downsizing houses. And she said she may have to downsize soon. She goes, maybe I should talk to you. You know what I mean? So I will find someone to talk to
Yeah.
about business. I did that through clubs, through events. I like to do charity. I love to help people. And that kind of thing is what spills over to work. And I don't help people to get business. I just want to help people.
It's a really simple business, especially when you're driven with a servant heart that you're trying to
Mhm.
just help people. There is a very real notable amount of work that has to go into getting an outcome like what you get, right? So you're going to sell, 30 to 40 houses every year. In order to do that, you got to wake up with intention. You've got to design your day. You've got to have a clear calendar. You've got to have good expectations and goal setting. There's a whole lot of things that have to go into that. But it becomes a lot easier if you're doing it to serve other people. It's so much easier if the goal is, I'm going to get up today and my objective is to go help somebody. It becomes a lot harder if it's like, I want to get up today so I can sell something so I can make money. Like, I find that the agents that have that as their forefront objective never really get monster businesses. They'll do okay, but the truth is that an economic goal in real estate only serves so much, because once you hit it, you take your foot off the gas. When you're driven by serving others, there's always somebody to help. There's always somebody to help. And we just so happen to be in this amazing industry that allows us to do it in a way that helps people with something that's really, really important to them, which is
Right.
where they live.
You can make it so easy to be able to make it transactional.
Mhm.
Um, and I try not to do that. I don't want it to just be a transaction. I like it to be a relationship. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't stay in touch, very, very closely with every client, but you're in a relationship with your realtor for sometimes, 3 year, 3 months to a year.
Yeah.
And you want to like them, or you want to be a nice human to them, and they're going through emotions with you if they can't get the house they want, so they need you to lean on. And this job, people don't realize how much we actually do in this job, and the behind the scenes and the negotiating and the paperwork and the stuff that we don't even tell our own clients about, that
Well,
we had to beg
I
to
think
get,
the greatest example of how, like, anybody that ever wants to diminish the value of a really strong realtor, all you've really got to do, the ones that say like, oh, the realtor doesn't do anything, it's like, well, if that were true, then the 85% of agents that get out of the business every 2 to 3 years would still be in it. This is an insanely challenging, difficult job to be in. And most of it because of what you talked about, the relationship building, which is so key to building a big business. We talked about this last night about at our mastermind about why we leverage events in our business, because the truth is that you do get into what, for lack of a better description, intimate level relationships with your clients over the course of the transaction. You get to know everything about what they're trying to accomplish in their life, their hopes, their dreams, their desires, their designs. Like, all of those things become part of the conversation. Hey, why do you want this house? Well, we're growing family. Like, this is how we imagined our kids growing up. This is so all of those things become part of the dialogue. And so you get to know people really well. And when you're a curious, learning-based person like you are, there's no depth of relationship that's off limits. We're going to get to know them as well as we can so that we can do the best job we can. And then the transaction's over, and poof, we don't talk to them anymore. Like,
Yeah,
and it's so weird to
it's
be a
very weird.
professional relationship builder and to get so deep into the weeds with people and then not talk to them. Because again, like at the end of the day, there is a transaction that defines the nature of the relationship. But when you are heart-centered, like you are, like I am, you care deeply for these people and what they want. And then the relationship, the transaction's over and you may never hear from them again, which is why we lean so heavy on the events because it gives us a real reason to stay in touch with people that we genuinely care about. And obviously, the business practical of it is they always remember us because they never forget who we are and that we care about them because we let them know by inviting them to these things that we do. And they also happen to remember us when they might meet a friend or have a neighbor or a family member who has a need. And so it gives us an opportunity to expand the business, but also stay in touch with those people. So it's such a notable part of the business. So
It's my favorite part.
me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me just wrap us up here really quickly with a couple of things. Um, and this is like part one of 20, right? We're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna be doing more of these and getting to know you more over the course of the series. Let me ask you a question. If you could give yourself a piece of advice that you didn't know then that you know now, when you started your real estate career, right? Something that you could really like say, boy, if I knew that then, my life and business and career would have been better. What piece of advice would you give yourself?
Keep better records.
Oh, okay.
I know that sounds crazy. I would hope and I think we're talking to a real estate crowd out there.
Probably.
And I brought this up on one of the meetings I ran this week. I actually used this as an answer. So CRMs are so prominent now, and we bang on we work on our sphere. We bang it into the head, database, work on your sphere. I don't know, probably we're 70% of my first 8 years of business is. I don't know if I could dig it up. I guess I probably could. MLS does go back far,
You could
but
probably find it. Yeah.
I could probably find it somewhere. I have a few stragglers that I know of because I've had repeat customers throughout the 25 years. Um, keep better records. I actually did not I did start in the business treating it like a business whereas that I went to work, but I didn't know what I know today about how important it is to treat it like a business in that I'm the one that's in charge of myself and keeping the books. Like I always worked for people.
Yeah.
Realtors, you're working for yourself, you're self-employed.
Yeah.
So I was not a very good business person at that time. So if I was to give myself advice now, it would be to immediately think like a business person.
That's
And
that's the nugget right there, Corey.
yep,
It's not even about keep better records. It's
nope,
start thinking like a business owner. That's it.
immediately, 100% immediately, because I still had in my head, and it wasn't that it was anyone told me this, it was just ingrained from all my other years of working and what you see in society mostly. You go to work for somebody.
Yeah, it's an
So
employee mindset versus a business owner mindset. And
100%. So I would have, yeah, I would have immediately started treating it like a business.
there's even more that comes from that too, which is that, the employee mindset is one that looks outside of them for solutions. The business owner mindset looks inside, right? So the entrepreneur and the business owner says, I have a problem, how am I going to fix it? An employee says, I have a problem, who's going to fix it? Right. And so there's this sort of mindset shift around like, hey, today I woke up like every day because I run a business and I've got a host of problems that I need to solve. That happens every day. Some days there's small problems, some days there's big problems, but there's always problems. That's literally the job. Like that is what I signed up for. I am chief problem solver. And it's no one's job to solve those problems but me. That's it. There's no other person. It's just me. I have to solve those problems. Sometimes there are problems that agents have. Sometimes there are problems that customers have. Sometimes there are problems that partners have. It doesn't really matter. It's just a problem. It's just a thing. That's actually the entirety of the nature of the business. And if you treat it like that from day one as an agent, you stop thinking that there's some miraculous cure or somebody on the outside has something that you don't have. you've got everything you need in order to build a monumentally big and rewarding business. And by that, I mean sell 30, 40 houses a year, make more money than 17% of the US population makes $100,000 a year or more. Most people think it's a lot more than that, but it's only 17%, and only 4% of the US population makes over 200,000 a year. The reality for real estate agents is those numbers are so within reach by
So easy to get
simply
to.
doing what you said. Get up, go to work, be
Go to
learning
work.
based, do the job, serve people at a high level, and you'll have an outrageously rewarding career. So, Kori, this has been
Learning based is probably one of the biggest things. And I
absolutely.
think that some of the new people, newer people getting into the job don't realize how learning based you have to be. I make sure I tell all the newer folks that I'm still learning.
Well, and
You
I
know,
think
blah,
they also don't understand even what that means. That like learning based isn't learn how to like do software, or like it's not all tactical. It's this it's a lifestyle. It's this idea of all the things that there is to know. How much do you actually know? Nothing. You know nothing. Most of us are complete, knuckleheads. We do not have
competency.
an amassed amount of knowledge that's that impressive of all the things that there are to know. And so your only job as a learning based person is to go learn as much as you possibly can. So this has been super fun. Thank you. I can't wait for part two. And stay tuned, everybody. We're going to be launching more agent interviews through the production playbook as we go along. Where we've got a lot more to learn from Kori. Thank you for
Welcome.
sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with us. And can't wait for part two.
I gotta go to work now.
Go to work. Go to
I
work.
gotta go. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.